Hello, my name is Jeremy Fox. This is my week 3 video review for Java 2. How do you feel about services versus async task? To be brutally honest, I don't quite yet see the pros of spending all the extra time and effort to implement a service. Maybe if I can get more clarification and info as to why I would want to do that, it would make more sense, because async task is just so stupid simple to set up and use. And my app is actually pretty data driven. Everything comes from the back end and everything was working just fine with an async task. So what benefits do I really have by spending all that extra time and effort to implement a service, which I honestly didn't even think I was going to get done this week because it took so much time to do. And honestly, that's one of my things in one of the other bullet points is what could you do differently if you could. I would spend a lot more time implementing the service to make sure it's right, because I don't feel everything that I did is really 100% like production ready by any means. It was just kind of half thrown together just to try and get the thing working, basically. First time ever writing a service, so that was probably a part of it. But I guess right now my biggest thing is I just don't really see the pros in it versus just implementing an async task. What are your thoughts on content providers? I think it's really cool. I like the idea of it. Not sure as if I would ever really have a purpose for it, but it was cool. What would you have done differently if you could? I said that already. List a few things that could use more clarification. I mentioned that already as well. So here real quick is my my Notes API service. So this guy is getting notes from the API, saving notes, deleting notes, and editing notes. That's pretty much it. I'm not going to go into the specifics of each one. So he's handling all the API requests going in or coming in and going out. Let's see, it is an intent service. So the next thing is we have the notes provider, which is my content provider. Pretty self-explanatory. The only thing I have implemented right now is just the query to be able to query it, because I didn't see a purpose in implementing insert, delete, or update at this point. And all the notes are coming from a file in the it's being written to the device storage every time that you sync your notes. So when you sync your notes, I grab all of them, spool through them, and write that to a file in the file storage on the device, and then in the when you query the provider, it pulls it back out here and creates the JSON string, and then creates a JSON array out of it, iterates over each one, adds them to the cursor, and spits them back out. And then of course you can do the same thing for the ID as well. And then in my notes list fragment, we have this chunk of code right here, which it queries the content provider, or it asks the listener, which is my activity, for, let me pull that up, main activity. Query content provider. Okay, so right here, we build up our projection, and then get content resolver, perform the query, we get them back, and then we return the cursor to my fragment where he can do his thing right here. So as long as it's not returned, or as long as it's existent and it's not null, we then create a notes from provider JSON array, build each new note, basic note, and then update the notes manager with those notes, and then we set the grid items, and then I show a little dialog, which I'll show you here. And it's just kind of a reminder to let you know, hey, the notes you're looking at now in the grid view actually came from the content provider, not the remote API, because you don't actually see anything happening. but it is behind the scenes. So it just happens so fast you don't really see anything changing. So if I refresh, that is coming from the API. So now because I just did that, it wrote these two notes into the file that I was talking about earlier on the file system. So when I press this My Notes button here, this actually will fire here. This chunk, this method, or this code here, where it will query the content provider for the notes. And it just did it, and like I said, you don't see anything different because it's just pulling the same two notes from a file on the file system. And then it says process complete. The current notes in the grid view have been loaded via the My Notes content provider. See the notes list fragment.java from line 190 to 207 for the code that is making this happen, with my spelling error making this happen. And that's it. So everything is good to go there. The service is hooked up, content provider is hooked up. That's it for now. So thank you for watching.